I would like to thank my judge, my opponent, and my audience for being here today on why snuggies are better than electric blankets. First of all, we have that snuggies are great for families. Snuggies are kind of like a one-size-fits-all sort of thing, besides I could get them smaller. But you can sit in front of the TV and you can have your cat on your lap and you can just be sitting there in your birthday suit underneath, just sitting, watching the TV, and it's amazing. Second of all, snuggies are cheaper than electric blankets. You can get them for your amazing price, once in a lifetime price of $19.99 on TV, as you have seen on TV. Or you could go to Walmart, where they also have the only as you have seen on TV everythings. Also, electric blankets pose a hardcore fire hazard. So why would you try to put yourself at the risk of that fire hazard of the electric blanket when you could just have a snuggie, and you could be in your amazing lazy suit, your warm snuggie in front of the fire and your cat on your lap that you can still pet because you're not stuck with your arms under a blanket to keep your shoulders warm. And you can still use the TV right, and you can still be on your phone. So that is why snuggies are better than electric blankets. Thank you.
Oh, do you want to stand or sit? Or do
Oh, you can stand.
Okay.
Yes.
So basically, you say that snuggies are great for families. However, can't the same kind of family ideal be perpetuated with electric blankets?
See, you would need more than one electric blanket. Because how many people can you fit on the average couch? Like 3? And what's the average family size? It's about it was about 3, well, it's 3 to 4, because there's going to be a dad and a mom and 1 or 2 kids. And you can fit 3 people on a couch. So usually, at least in my household, you have the dad on the chair and then the 3 girls on the couch. It's more practical that way.
Okay,
so you need a bunch.
Okay, so you also talked about the threat of a fire hazard. Is there not a hazard from having a snuggie on and walking around in it and tripping over the snuggie?
You don't trip over a snuggie. It's like a robe. You don't it's not that long.
Okay.
But you will trip in a blanket or a wrap trap.
Okay. No.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead. Remain. Five more seconds.
Okay.
Okay. So to begin my time, I would first like to start by thanking Randy. Very fun debate with you again since finals last time. Thank you, judge, audience, you all are awesome. So now I'm going to kind of move on to my case. So basically, I believe that electric blankets are actually better than snuggies for 3 reasons. The first being that of capitalism, and I'm going to expand upon this. So capitalism basically is a system in which the government, or rather the economy, is allowed to kind of exist in a free market without government regulation. So basically, because snuggies are like a brand name thing, it means that more companies, more companies with a similar product, can't do the same snuggie per se. And so what we see is that electric blankets, because it's kind of a generic term, allows for more than one company to do it, which means that we see more competition, and competition is what makes this country great. It is the reason why the electric blanket was once just a regular blanket, and then with the invention of electricity, those somehow came together. However, no such innovation could occur in the Snuggie world, and that's what I'm going to refer to the affirmation as the Snuggie world. Although it is not as warm and fuzzy as an actual Snuggie, as I'm going to expand upon in my next point, which is that of multitasking. So Snuggies, because they're like robes, they encourage multitasking, which is actually extremely detrimental and very much impossible. When you have a robe on, especially one that is long, I know from personal experience that you can trip over a Snuggie and get extremely hurt. I have a scar on my forehead right here. That is from tripping over a Snuggie. It was a SpongeBob Snuggie. It was very painful. I remember the hospital trip. Next, on to my last point is that of the regulation of temperature. So basically, with a Snuggie, you could be cold no matter what. Whether or not you have a Snuggie on, you might not actually feel very snuggly because you're going to be freezing. However, with an electric blanket, it actually promotes bodily autonomy and allows you to regulate the temperature in which you are existing, which not only is good simply for morale purposes, but is also good for the fact that when you are cold, you need to be able to adjust how warm you can be. And so basically, because of the fact that capitalism is benefited in the electric blanket world because of multitasking and because of the regulation of temperature, I strongly urge a vote in favor of the negation. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So, first of all, what did you say the problem with the multitasking was?
The problem with multitasking is that not only is it impossible and inefficient, but also breeds danger.
So, how is it inefficient?
It's inefficient because when you're multitasking, the farce of multitasking is that you can do more than one physical and mental thing at the same time. However, trying to keep a Snuggie on and being able to do other things is extremely inefficient and actually impossible to do for the brain.
That's interesting, because everyone multitasks all the time.
Multitasking, especially in like a university sense and in a high school sense as well, was basically actually shown to be extremely ineffective. People cannot focus on two things that are both mental or both physical at the same 100% capacity.
Right.
So therefore, multitasking
What
doesn't
about
work.
our fire warnings all over the electric blankets?
So you'll see fire warnings just as much in the Snuggie world because you're gonna light that Snuggie on fire when you're walking around and cooking.
You're good at cooking a Snuggie. Okay.
It's been done before.
All right.
Oh wait, is this?
Yeah, you give a final
Rebuttals
speech about
now.
it. Yep.
All right. So again, I'd like to thank my audience, my amazing opponent here, and my judge for being here today. So now you can see that my opponent agrees that you can do anything while in a Snuggie. You can even cook in a Snuggie. You can multitask in a Snuggie because, well, not only you can do anything. Well, on the commercials, I always get on my phone and text. It's always fine with my family. Also, she talks about the capitalism and how the government is, we're not helping the economy as much, I guess, because only one company can make Snuggies, but a robe and a Snuggie, and there are actually different companies making Snuggies because there are tons of loopholes in this system that she is basing her argument off of. And also the whole temperature regulation thing. Why are you that cold in a Snuggie? It wraps around your body all the way to keep all of this heat in. That is extremely false. You must vote the affirmative.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So what it really comes down to in this debate is the fact that making people believe that they can multitask is not only dangerous, but extremely detrimental to the very fiber of society if we're playing on fabric puns at this point. Speaking of fabric puns, Snuggies are extremely thin pieces of fabric. In fact, I would be more warm wearing a paper towel than I would in a Snuggie. So what we can see is actually that my temperature regulation point is still standing in this debate simply because of the fact that you can actually regulate how warm or cold you are under an electric blanket, and you also don't have the threat of believing this kind of farce of multitasking, which actually doesn't exist. Scientists have proved that the body and the mind cannot do more than 2 tasks each at the same time, meaning that multitasking is actually physically impossible, and we cannot allow our society to continually believe that multitasking is possible because it leads to things like fire hazards, like lighting your Snuggie on fire, like tripping and having to go to the hospital because you split your forehead open.